Hello, what's up, good people? Good to see you. Now, today I'm going to teach you 5 wonderful habits that you have to have them for you to get out of the poverty. I always use them. I use them up to date. And guess what? I'm giving you an example that I've already incorporated in my life and it is working. All right? And guess what? As always, because I don't want you to miss any of my good future videos, this is what I want you to do. And guess what? It is fast and it is free. Take 1 second. Just below there on your right, there is a button, a very small button. It is in black. It is written subscribe. Hit that button, and then on your left there is a like button. Hit those 2 magical buttons. Guess what happens? It is free and it's fast. In future, whenever I upload out any good video of this kind, then you'll be the first one to be notified. All right, so let's go to today's topic. All right, so these are the 5 habits that you have to incorporate for you to get out of poverty immediately. I didn't know them. I used to think that it's like a magical thing that you have to do for you to get yourself out of a problem, only to realize that when I interacted with one of the wealthy people, and they taught me this thing, and I was like, wow, really? That works? So anyway, what are these habits? All right, habit number 1 that you have to understand is about that if you spend the exact amount as you make, guess what happens? You'll have yourself a very comfortable life. You live better, you live good, but guess what happens? You'll never run out of what we call the rat race. You always be chasing that money, and you always live from what we call from the hand to the mouth. You have to work for you to be able to sustain exact thing that we call the habits or the life that you're living in. This is what you're supposed to do. At all the occasion, they always say this: always spend less than what you always make. All right, let's just say like maybe you make 100 G's or 30,000 or 20,000, whichever the amount that you make sure that you always live the life that is below your means, meaning it is way below the amount of money that you make at the end of the day, at the end of the month, or whichever the period that you always get paid. All right, so the point is this: if you live according to the amount of money that you always make, let's say you make 100,000 at the end of the month, and then you're spending, or you use the exact 100,000 at the end of the month, we always see you as a successful person. We always live a comfortable life and everything that you may aspire, but the fact remains you always be in this rat race. If you get fired, you get depressed, you get stressed, and you never run out of what you call the depression and unpeaceful moments in your life. All right, number 2, let me tell you one secret. Money is not a what do you call a limited commodity. It is not a limited commodity. It is plenty out there, and it's available for anybody. Provided you up your game, use the correct and right strategies for you to get that exact money. So the point is this: in this life that you're living in, if you look around and see the structures, the buildings, the cars, the houses, the everything, that tells you that the money is in plenty. You know what happens? Once you get your money, you always hold it dear. You don't want to spend the money. You're afraid to spend your money. You're afraid to lose your money. And the fact remains that you always have this mentality that money is not limited. It's unlimited, or rather it's limited. Like it is not in plenty. And let me tell you one secret: whenever you open that eyes and if you want to let things stick in your, sink in your head and understand that money is not limited. It's actually plenty out there. Provided you have all the factors that are required, then you always get that piece of it. Sometimes you get shocked when you interact with people and get to understand they usually make, some people make 100,000 a day. Some people even make $1 million bob in a day. Yeah, we have a CEO in Kenya who is getting paid over 1 million per day. That's an amazing. I mean, seriously, go check the CEOs of the cooperative, Akina KCB and what have you. Those are people who make even that amount of money. So when you confine yourself to the thinking that money is limited, then that will always get yourself into problems and challenges that it will be very hard for you to snatch yourself out of them. So understand this: money is not limited. All right. And number 3, rich always have at least 3 streams of income. If you have only 1 stream of income, there is no offense with that. Everybody starts somewhere. So the fact remains you have to have at least 3 channel or streams of income. This means what? Like if you have a stream A, maybe this is where you're employed. So what is what you're supposed to do? Now this kind of buys what I said in the very first topic, or rather the very first option, when I said you're supposed to spend way less than your means, meaning that amount of money that you're leaving behind, you're supposed to channel it somewhere in terms of investment. Then that earns you another stream of income, or rather that earns you passive income in another stream of income. So that means that you actually have more money that is coming from multiple directions. You can just imagine how much of money that is usually transacted in the entire world. So what happens is this: now, how much of it did it manage to come to your pocket? That's a fact, because we usually have trillions of dollars of money that is usually transacted in a single day. Now the question is this: out of all those trillions, then how much did you manage to get into your pocket in a single day. So that's the point. So the point is this: always have more than 3 streams of income. You have stream A, B, and C. And if it's possible, you can even have 7, even 10. Some people even have, actually some billionaires, they usually have more than even 7 multiple channels of income. Somebody has invested in real estate, somebody has a conventional business, somebody has investment in stocks, in index funds, somebody has invested in treasury bills, treasury bonds, in market fund, all those areas in collection. So if you have only one stream of income, that actually tells you you have long way to go, and you're supposed to sacrifice a lot of things so that at least you can get yourself into what we call the right position in terms of this wealth creation. All right. And number 4, it is what we call the poverty mindset that you usually have. And this poverty mindset is kind of tricky. What I mean by this point is this: you find that a lot of people tend to think that, okay, fine, life is short, life is for the living, you're supposed to live nice, you're supposed to spend money, you're supposed to. Let me tell you one thing. I know you may not agree with me, but the fact remains that a poverty mindset. In most cases, let me tell you one secret about money. The sweetness or the sweet part of the money is not spending it, but the sweet part of money is when let's say you show up to a place where people are, maybe they have a very nice car, and then you know very well that if you want that car, I mean, the next minute you can just buy the car. You can afford it, you can buy it. That's what gives you the peace of mind. That's what gives you satisfaction. That's what gives you, like, this contentment or something of sort. Let's say you show up to a place just for a very simple thing, and you find people are eating a very nice meal, a cozy meal or a cuisine, and then you are out there, maybe you didn't even take your breakfast in the morning, not because that you didn't, but because you do not have. Guess what happens? You usually have some funny cravings or something of sort. You tend to miss and crave for anything that you usually smell out there. So the fact remains is this, that the beauty of having the money is not actually spending it, but rather, understanding that if you want that thing that you're seeing out there, you can actually afford it at a click of a button. That's the beauty of money. That's when you see people flossing off, flexing with their nice and big cars out there. That doesn't even stress you out, because you can just show up to your bank, buy the car, and actually you can just make a call and that car will be delivered to your house at your comfort. So that's the beauty of money. So this poverty mindset, like life is short or what and what, that actually is a poverty mindset, which you need to do what we call an overhaul detoxification to get yourself out of that cocoon. And remember one thing: this issue of chasing out and trying to prove to people that you have money, guess what? People are so much stressful, they don't even care how much you look. Forget about the celebrities, what they do and such. All right. And by the way, are you aware that even these celebrities that usually show us how beautiful life they live in, those people, they actually don't have like the largest amount of money. Those people who are wealthy, they never show up how much they usually have. They just remain cool, and there are people you cannot even tell they actually have money. So get yourself out of this poverty mindset, and when you have to prove to people that you have money or something of sort. All right. And don't think about things and think like they are like for the riches and such. Sometimes when I talk about shares, people are like, no, but I thought shares for the rich people. No, because you never had the information. So get yourself out of the poverty mindset, appreciate knowledge, and always out there, when you hear somebody talking of something that you do not know, then learn to listen more than talking. That's why you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Learn to listen more than actually talking. When you realize that somebody has something that you've never had and can actually go ahead and improve your life. All right. Now we go to the 5th one, the last but not the least. All right. Budgeting and planning. Yes, I knew this one was to come out. Absolutely. This one cannot be left behind if you want to get yourself out of poverty. And I always give this simple analogy that money is, or rather budgeting is actually telling your money where to go rather than wondering where it went. This one is a fact. All right. And budgeting, some people tend to think like budgeting is for the wealthy. Budgeting, you must have a lot of money for you to budget it. No, it's not a must that you must have a lot of money for you to be able to budget. You can budget for 500, you can budget for 2,000, you can budget for 10,000, you can budget for whichever the amount of money. Once you have your budget, it's like you're channeling, it's like you're dictating where your money should go. All right. And the moment you spend against what you've actually budgeted, then tells you there is a problem in terms of your spending, and that's the only way that you can be able to monitor exactly how your money is moving. All right. So that is the exact thing that you're supposed to incorporate. So budgeting is actually telling your money where to go rather than wondering where it went. One of the common mistakes that I usually find people doing is that they spend fast, then they try to catch up with where, like they take a pen and paper and then they start asking yourself, how did I spend my 10,000? How did I spend my this month 30,000 salary? How did I spend my 2 or whatever? So they kind of catch up with whatever has just happened. So what does it win you? You always catch up with the money. You always, you always be behind the money. You always be playing what we call the catch-up game. And the fact remains, even if you catch up, you do nothing about it. All right. So if you realize this is where your money has went, you do nothing about it. You tend to do the exact thing in the next future, or rather the next salary once you receive it if you're employed, or the next money when you get it if you're self-employed. So the fact remains that you're supposed to always have a stipulated budget. Get to understand how much you spend in terms of electricity, how much you spend in terms of water, how much you spend in terms of fare or the transport cost, how much you spend in terms of fuel if you have a car, how much you spend in terms of school fees, how much you spend. I mean, all those things you have to have them at the tip of your hands. Because if someone asks you, like, how much do you take, or rather how much do you spend in terms of food, you know it, 10,000, 13,000, 50,000, or something of sort. So you already have the figure in you. All right. So if whenever something goes beyond that, then you have to ask yourself, then what exactly did happen for me to be in the situation that I am today? So budgeting is a thing that you can never leave behind if you want to get yourself out of the poverty and actually move towards what we call the rich in this life that you're living in. Perhaps if you've reached this video up to this particular point, guess what I want to do to you? I just want to tell you very much thank you for doing exact that. This is what I wanted to do. Perhaps you forgot to, do the subscription thing. Just take 1 second, just down there below on your right, there is a button written subscribe. Just hit that button and then give video a thumbs up. And I know you're asking yourself, Joseph, what's the importance of that? Guess what? Good videos are coming. Actually, I'm going to share with you tips on ways on how you can be able to get yourself out of that. Now, after incorporating all what I've told you now, what are you supposed to do so that you grow yourself and get yourself out of the poverty? All right. So I'm going to give you real things. This is not motivation. These are real things that you can incorporate in your life and transform your life significantly and get moving. All right. So perhaps if you can just recap exactly what I've just said, those 5 points. Number 1, money is not scarcity. Number 2, you must have a budget. Number 3, get yourself out of the poverty mindset. Number 4, make sure that you understand that the richest usually have at least more than 3 streams of income. Those are the things that you're supposed to incorporate so that at least you don't get yourself into problems as far as the money is concerned. And always remember this point. Riches or wealth is always made out of surplus, and the only way you can get the surplus is by making sure that you spend below your means, or rather you spend below that amount of money that you made. That's how you create the surplus. You take the surplus, you invest the surplus makes you passive. The passive now supplements what you have. Then that's how you expand the basket of your earning at the end of the day, at the end of the month, at the end of the year, whichever the target that you usually have. And these are universal application that, irrespective of where you come from, these are the universal things that you can actually incorporate and proceed yourself in terms of development, because there is no shortcut. And remember this one thing, that life, or rather wealth, is never an event. It's always a process. It takes time, and you have to be sure, or rather stick around, use what is required, and at the end of the day, you'll be able to realize this dream. Because the point here is this: we are moving towards what we call the financial freedom. All right. Perhaps you're out there, you would like to purchase any of my booklets are out there about various ways on areas where you can be able to invest. I have booklets on money market fund, treasury bills, treasury bonds. I have things to do with circles where you can put your money. All those things are business ideas, business plans, and what have you. Also write business proposals. Get my number from the description of this specific video. Give me a call or text me on WhatsApp. You get your copy, and it's only $220. So for now, it's a goodbye, and see you in the next one.